Hello everyone, on this HCW podcast we will be covering WWE Smackdown, AEW Rampage, quick review, WWE Raw, a quick review of NXT, and AEW Dynamite. Roll intro.
HCW Reviews.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the HCW podcast. My name is RGX, flanked as always by Rate Wrestle and Frozzy. How are you guys?
All good, mate, all good. Just looking forward to recapping these shows as usual. Let's get cracking.
Indeed. What about yourself, Rate?
Yeah, I'm good. Everything's fine. I'm looking forward to reviewing and getting this show back in order.
Nice. Well,
it looks like you haven't got as much clutter behind you this week, like tonight, than you did.
Oh, no, it's still there. It's just behind the chair now. Oh, there you go.
So, since Rate had no internet until just a couple of days ago, Frozzy has stepped up and taken the notes for SmackDown, so if you'd like to take it away there, Froz.
Loving life. I got the 1200th episode of SmackDown and the Jim Cornette name drop, all within the first 30 seconds. Unreal. But yeah, it was actually, I enjoyed the show. So we start off with McAfee and Cole just talking, and then you see Ronda Rousey stroll past the camera, casual if you like. Gets into the ring and just says that she's paid off a fine. Adam Pearce needs to come and lift this suspension. And then Pearce is like, this is above my pay grade. Talks a little bit more. They bring out some security. And then they're just basically coming. He brings the police to arrest Ronda Rousey. And she's taken away. And she's put in a car. And then we just see Roman Reigns pull up. I just think they need to drop this thing with Ronda now. Like, she's paid the fine. They didn't need to drag on to this segment. They could have just lifted the ban for me.
They're trying to get her over as a badass and do the Stone Cold thing. But even Becky barely got away with that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you need to, if you're going to do that, it needs to be, like, convincing. She needs to be, like, full on annoyed. And I didn't get that vibe from her. She just accepted she was being put in the back of a car.
Yeah.
But no, so I get what they're doing. I just don't think it was needed here. But yeah, then we cut to the tag tournament, the first round, and we had Natalya and Sonya Deville, because they're a team now, and Toxic Attraction, who were taking over because Zoe Starks is hurt, apparently.
And Nikita Lyons was medically unavailable. It was in Canada and she's not vaccinated.
Yep. I was going to sort of skip over that, but yeah.
I'm not.
But the added bonus was we actually got Bailey, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai with tickets sitting behind McAfee and Cole, and it was gold.
Hey Michael! Michael!
Bailey is so good at stuff like this. She's so good at it. And I've missed it, like, when they did it during the pandemic era with her and Sasha, unreal. And yeah, it
Cole
was so
sold
good again.
It brilliantly as well. It's like, hey, Bailey.
Yeah. It's just like... And then there was one point in the match where McAfee turned around and was like, Cole said you're scared. And he was like, well, I didn't word it quite like that. But so the match itself was it was quite solid. There was one bit of a botch, I think, and it was Sonya and Gigi Dolan. I don't know what was going on. She sort of put her on the ground, and it looked like they were going for like a Hurricane Rana sort of spot, and then it just sort of petered out into nothing. She lifted her up and knocked her back down.
She got concussed in that spot.
Did she? Right, that explains it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just didn't look very good, but I feel like I don't need to shit on it now. Because there was a legitimate reason for it. But yeah, so it was a bit back and forth, and I thought it was quite a solid match. And then we come back from a break, and JC Jane is loading up a sharpshooter. Gets knocked away by Deville. Natalya comes in and gets her sharpshooter broken up. And then it goes to the outside. Deville's sent into the barricade, which gives us the absolute fire that is Bailey just giving them loads. And then when they come back into the ring, JC James tags herself in. Natalya doesn't see it, puts Dolan in the sharpshooter, and very cleverly, Jane just gets in, rolls up, pin. Match over. Very, very clever ending.
Yeah.
You
want to know what my notes said about this?
Go on.
This is making me forget I hate Toxic Attraction.
It did what it needed to do to make them viable. And the right team won, because they are actually a team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that for an opening match it was solid. You got Toxic Attraction over, and like I said, we got to see Bayley doing a thing, which was good for me. So then we went to Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns, and this was entertaining.
It was excellent.
Yeah, it was just everything you need from Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. He talks to Roman about his issues with the Usos, especially Jay, who's obviously been telling him he needs to level up. And then he talks about how he took a Claymore for him last week and calls Jay ungrateful. But Sami obviously knows he went too far, but then Reigns agrees with him, and then his phone rings, and it's Jay on the other end. So he gets Sami Zayn to answer it. And apparently it's just a lot of Jey Uso shouting, but most of it is to do with the fact that they can't get through border control, so they won't be there tonight. At which point Reigns doesn't look overly happy, and then Zayn's like, well, I'm here. I've got a number one contendership 5-way for the Intercontinental title, and Reigns tells him that he thinks the title will look good in the Bloodline, and then it just sort of goes from there that Reigns asked him if he's still tight with Kevin Owens, and he says yeah, and he says just tell him that I don't owe him anything, basically. And yeah, that was pretty much it from that segment, but it did its job. It was entertaining.
And it weaved 3 threads at once. It was brilliant.
Yep, it was great. And then we had a little bit of a package about Gunther and Nakamura's match last week, which obviously we all found really, really great. And then we cut back to the ring, and Max Dupree and the Maximum Male Models are in the ring with Maxine. And literally, no quicker does he start than Hit Row's music interrupts. He does get his line in about titillating the juices, though, which was great. And then, Hit Row just come down. Max Dupree attempts to cut a promo. Says that it could never be Maximum Male Models, especially... I always forget the big guy's name.
Top Dollar.
But he gets in his face and tells him he could not be a Maximum Male Model, at which point they just clear the ring. What I found weird was Max Dupree and Maxine sort of just stepped out of the ring. Max Dupree's an actual wrestler. Why is he not getting involved when his guys are getting attacked? I found that a bit strange.
They did it in NXT, don't they, with Robert Stone. Robbie E was an actual wrestler, but he didn't wrestle suddenly, and he couldn't wrestle. Yeah. Yeah,
they don't even attack him, and it's just this guy can take bumps, he can do this stuff. So why is he not being able to do it? Yeah, exactly. Just for me, that just didn't make much sense. And then, so after that, we cut to Karrion Kross and Scarlett talking about what?
You missed the fact that Hit Row actually did a performance of her song.
Oh, yeah, of course they did.
Top Dollar was okay, but Adrian Adonis was flat the full time, and it sounded awful. It sounded like someone in the crowd was singing along to it, until I realised it was actually Adrian Adonis.
Yeah. I completely, like I said, I recapped it briefly today, so it's just one of them things I've just sort of forgot. But yeah, it was forgettable. But yeah, it was. I didn't really find it to be doing much. I suppose it's for them, it gets them over a little bit. The crowd seemed to enjoy it, so. But yeah, so from there we go to Kross and Scarlett talking about what Drew McIntyre said to him on Raw. He's still got his eye on Roman Reigns as well, and they're both his chosen ones. So then Sheamus is an entrant, so we're getting the 5-way match now, which I found overly entertaining, because 5-way matches can be a cluster sometimes. And I don't really like going over more than like 3 triple threats I can handle, fatal 4-ways if they must. But when you start getting towards 5 and 6, it can become a bit of a cluster. But this, they did it really well. It's just like the fans are obviously behind Sami Zayn.
He's the hero of the night. It's brilliant.
He actually is. It's so good. The fans love him, and I love this version of Sami Zayn. But it starts out with the ring cleared to start, leaving Ricochet and Sami Zayn, who hits a Hurricane Rana. Corbin, I don't know what he's wearing, just cuts off and gets in the middle of it, hits a chokeslam to Ricochet, and then we just go to commercial. But does anyone else know why Corbin was wearing t-shirt, jeans, and tennis shoes?
Because that's his gimmick.
Yeah, that's what he wears in general. Yeah, for some weird reason.
Yeah, but why would you wrestle in it?
Because he can. Because he's happy.
I'd be human. Yeah, we come back from commercial, and then it's just everyone's just brawling on the floor. Corbin takes Ricochet back inside, and then Moss and Zayn are going at it on the apron. We get a lot of back and forth. There's a lot going on. And then we get a shooting star press that gets a 2 count on Corbin. And then there is a massive cut on Sheamus's thigh. I don't know if anyone else caught that.
Yeah, it happened around about the same time that Sami got injured and was taken to the back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it just looked gruesome. And then, so we see the cut on his leg, and then he hits a Irish curse on Moss and Zayn, and then he does come up limping, so you can tell there's something seriously up with his leg. Then he hits 10 forearms to Moss, and then Corbin's in a little bit of trouble, and then he gets 17 forearms to Ricochet. 17. What a ridiculous number. Zayn jaw breaks his way to getting out of it, low bridges Corbin onto the floor, big flip dive, and then Corbin is on the floor to get some from Sami. And then there's a Michinoku driver that looks pretty clean onto Ricochet, and then the Blue Thunder Bomb gets a 2 on Moss. Sheamus is just running wild at this point, hits the white noise, but he still looks quite injured. And then the match goes on for what is 22 minutes, and we cut to the finish. Sami hits a Helluva kick on Ricochet. Corbin pulls out Zayn. Sheamus gets back in with a bro kick to finish Corbin out of nowhere. But I thought it was quite a fun match. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff going on, but it was fun.
Yeah, same. And just think, we're going to get, when we're there live, Gunther against Sheamus. 2 big guys are just going to batter lumps at each other. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah. It is. I can't wait. No matter where we're sit, there's going to be chops that we feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll feel them.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be such a good fight, and I'm so looking forward to that. That's probably one of the ones on the card that I'm really looking forward to and seeing live. And then we get the video on McIntyre and Reigns, because we love a good video package. Then there's a video package on the Viking Raiders, and they have torches and face paint, and a great battle awaits. Then they burn the New Day stuff. If you like that kind of thing, fair enough, but for me it didn't really do much. We get the recap of the Morgan and Baszler contract signing. Morgan's armed out of a brace and into tape, and she isn't worried about Shayna Baszler. So she needs to get into the ring, which brings us to Liv Morgan against Shotzi Blackheart. And I will full name her. But obviously it's not for the title because Liv's defending that at Clash. We get a little bit of talk before the match because Shotzi talks about how Morgan's too emotional and calls the match a bad decision, which turns out it really wasn't, because it goes for about 6 minutes and Morgan hits a code breaker and the Oblivion and pins her. And there wasn't really much to it. I don't think it got Liv a win that she needed, but I don't think it really did much for Shotzi.
I don't think it was intended to.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, but you've still got to, like, for me, you've still got to make like someone else off the back of it.
Don't always.
Even if you'd have got like a little bit at the start and then Liv took over and like bossed the second half of the match, fair enough.
To play devil's advocate, we talked about this with Tony Storm and Kyle and King for Dynamite last week.
Yeah.
So I would argue WWE did it right, so we can't complain both ways on it.
Yeah. No, I suppose fair enough. Like Shotzi is on TV every week, so it's not like it's not going to do her a complete disservice, but I just think it sets her back a little bit as well. So, but yeah, it was what it was. It got Liv Morgan the win that she needed, and then Shayna comes in after the match, knees her down, teases a stomp on the arm, and then just kicks her down instead. But yeah, we cut to then Ronda Rousey being released, and Adam Pearce won't be pressing charges. Shock horror. And then Drew McIntyre finds Karrion Kross's hourglass in his locker room and rolls his eyes. And then we get Roman Reigns coming out on his own. It obviously takes the Roman Reigns entrance, who I'm pretty sure he's just becoming the new Undertaker at this point. I'm sure he's trying to break every entrance record there's ever been. And then, he gets the microphone. He talks about how he isn't here every week. People are going to come out here and say something stupid because he's not there every week. If anyone ever comes out and says that they're the face of this company or the main event, if it isn't him, they're lying. The same thing is true if someone says they carry this company, including Drew McIntyre. So then, obviously, if you say his name a couple of times, Drew McIntyre is going to come out. And McIntyre just tells him, he's not here very often. He doesn't represent the titles and he doesn't deserve to be champion. Reigns is obviously like, what the hell are you talking about? And McIntyre is just like, well, it's easy when you've got Heyman and the Usos. Right now, though, McIntyre sees fear in Reigns because the Usos aren't there. And McIntyre can tear him apart if he wants to. So then they start brawling, which is what everyone wanted to see. If they had put this off another week, I think I'd have been very angry. And then as Drew sets up for the Claymore, Sami Zayn just dives in out of nowhere and takes it. Reigns sets up a Superman punch. Claymore cuts him off anyway. The Claymore cuts off the spear, sorry. And then the camera angle was a little bit weird because when they showed the replay, McIntyre missed him by a mile.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the thing for me was that this SmackDown only had 3 matches, but they were long.
Yeah, what I'll say about the main event scuffle as well is I hope it's not anytime soon, but they're reminding crowds that Sami can be an incredible face.
Yeah.
He's been a bit cowardly with the Usos, but he's like taking a bullet for Reigns.
Yeah.
It's not a case of he's too scared to do anything. He is willing to get in there. So they're planting the seeds that he could be a face again down the line, which I'm good with.
He's very entertaining. Like, Sami Zayn is the highlight of SmackDown over the last few weeks.
Agreed. From a character standpoint, anyway.
Yeah. From a matches standpoint, he's not really had any apart from this week. So, but it was good. I enjoyed SmackDown.
Excellent. So, I will give a very quick Rampage overview. Obviously, DP's not here. And the fan poll that we put on Twitter basically just asked us to alternate or just review it as it comes. So this is going to be a very quick rundown because quite honestly, nothing of note happened yet again. So Rampage opens with the tag title match, Swerve and Our Glory against Private Party. It's surprisingly competitive. A nice little weave of the story was that Mark Glenn managed to reverse the big throw by Keith Lee, which was the move he done on him when Keith Lee debuted. Of course, Keith Lee hits it later anyway. And Glenn does look a lot better now. He's shaved that awful haircut off, he says. Knowing full well the irony in that statement, but he does look a lot better now, and you almost take him a bit more seriously because they look more serious. But of course, Swerve and Our Glory do get the win, and there's respect shown. Then we get a Hook versus the 15 minutes of fame, or should I say 15 seconds of fame, Clayton guy who was on Survivor or Love Island, whatever the hell it was. Hook squash, move on. And we had Buddy Matthews against Serpentico, Matthews squash, move on. Penelope Ford against Athena squash, move on. Literally 3 2-minute or less matches back to back on this show. Yeah. And of course, the only thing of note with the Penelope Ford and Athena match was, as Ray would say, the bloody baddies. At this point, I just want them to hurry up and get this over with, because there's only so often they can have interactions after a match without having a match themselves.
Yeah.
And then we have the Trustbusters, which I have in my notes as being who, and who. Obviously, it's Ari Daivari, Steamy Parker, Boudreaux, and Josh Briggs.
Little guy.
Against the best friends of Cassidy, Taylor, and Trent. From this, I can see exactly why Boudreaux was released from NXT for lacking progress, because he still looks a big clunky mess wandering around the ring. And of course, the best friends win. The only kind of highlight of this was Sonny Kiss attempted to interfere halfway through the match, and Danhausen cursed him. That was about the highlight of the show, which tells you everything you need to know about this Rampage. Incredibly skippable. So they did set up Claudio Castagnoli against Dustin Rhodes for the ROH title next week on Rampage. So we'll be doing at least a recap of that next week.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was your Rampage in about 1 minute 30 seconds.
That was how long the matches were, wasn't it?
Yeah. 3 matches in there, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Not much to say on this Rampage. Certainly be lucky it's even getting a review at all, that we're telling you what's happened on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on to Raw then.
Wonderful. And I'm back. So last week's wrestling, I didn't watch it all, so if there's blank spots that I don't understand, you'll have to explain them to me.
Yeah.
There's the odd one, I think, but some of them I'm just going to question you. Probably going, oh no, that happened last week. So yeah, Raw's been recently, it's been kicking off in random ways, as we saw with like the brawls of like Logan Paul and Miz, and they had one with Rollins and Riddle to start off the show, like just out of nowhere. They kind of brawled from the back around the arena and just like getting separated. Then there was dives because refs were pulling them apart, etc. like that. So it was just getting them on TV basically to continue their feud towards Clash. Then Raw actually started, the fireworks and everything happened, and then here comes Trish, because Canada, so we need good old Trish. So she was speaking a bit, and then obviously we all knew who was going to interrupt her. It was the Control. They kind of jibed back and forth. Why are you here, Trish? Which I did like from Bayley. You're pretty much past it. Then obviously Bianca comes down. She's slightly twirled. She's not as twirly as usual, but she is still twirling. She basically says that the Bayley wouldn't be here if Trish wasn't here, which is fair enough, to be fair, because they're paving the way is insane in WWE at that point with Lita and Trish and people like that. And then Lita, they kind of start like a we outnumber you, so we're going to beat you up. And then out of nowhere, obviously, you have Bliss and Asuka come down, and then it's a 4-on-3. And then obviously Control back down slightly from that. But yeah, it's a good promo. It's just setting up the match at Clash, isn't it? Like the two teams.
Yeah.
First match of the night was Control, Colin Sky versus Alexa Bliss and I need to read Alexa Bliss and a Bliss here. Alexa Bliss and Asuka.
I've been calling them Bliska.
Blisker, let's go with that. It sounds like a really bad ice cream as well.
Got Blisker and Kyan Sky. It's so weird.
So it's quite back and forth at the start. Like both teams were quite on top for a bit. They were hinting more towards Sky and Oscar having like a face-off, and they kept hinting towards it. Sky actually won up Oscar for a lot of this, which was good to see. Then the Control were in control. Oscar got a hot tag in, and then it started like a few near falls for both teams. They were kind of desperation spots at that point. Alexa Bliss hit a double DDT, which was pretty funny to see. That's her finish as well. I didn't know why she didn't attempt to do something. And then out of nowhere, I think it was Sky picked up the win with a roll up, because it was, I can't remember what was happening. Where are we here?
Yeah,
there was a submission, and then they didn't realise the one person was tagged in, did they? And then the other one rolled them up. Yeah,
it's a blind tag from Io Sky to get into the match. So Asuka had Dakota Kai and the Asuka Lock.
Yeah, that was it. And then she thought she tapped. That was it. And then, which I like about that, I was going to mention. I enjoy, because she obviously could see her tapping, but it means nothing. Whereas, like, for example, Chris Jericho's, you know, when he's got him in the walls of Jericho and they grab the rope and he thinks he's won. I don't understand that, because obviously, but like, she's seeing a tap so instantly she thinks she's won the match. Mm-hmm. That makes more sense to me. But then obviously, because she's not the legal man, she gets rolled up and Control pick up the win and advance. I thought that was a really good finish, and I did enjoy the matchup. I rated it 3 stars.
Yeah, I really appreciate that the heels won clean. They did so by outsmarting their opponents, by doing it well within the rules, like not cheating to win. So
exactly, yeah, which is good to see.
The ending was the same as the Toxic Attraction match on SmackDown. They just outsmarted them.
Heels be healing.
By doing it well.
Yeah.
And then going straight ahead to Dolph Ziggler's out back. He's annoyed that he got lost to Theory, but he respects it all. Then here comes Finn. Finn says that Dolph makes him sick, which is a very strong word, because he's basically one of these people that latches on to younger talent to make themselves relevant. Who did we think of straight away when he said that? Right. Okay, you didn't think of anyone. I thought the whole everyone was saying is Chris Jericho in AEW for a while with MJF and everything like that. Just everyone latching on.
Yeah,
I can see that.
And then he got slapped, absolutely slapped, and Finn dropped, and then Rhea's just doing the angry face. So followed up was obviously we had Finn versus Dolph. Balor was in control for a lot of it. There was a few close near falls. Dolph got a few desperation near falls at that point. He hit a zigzag, which got a near fall, which was really surprised about, I'm going to be honest. And then Rhea Ripley kind of blunt force traumas Dolph Ziggler, I'm going to be honest. And then Finn ends up picking up the win with coup de grace. I really enjoyed that match. Like, it was a very good back and forth matchup. Like, Raw's incredible match-wise at the moment recently.
They've still got a bit to go, but I think they're fixing Dolph.
Yeah.
Like,
they're fixing a lot of people.
Undoing 10 years of bad booking, I think they're fixing him.
But they're even, like, people like the Judgment Day are slightly growing on me now. More of, I think they're trying to make Rhea the kind of, like, China rollers, and she's the one that's causing them to win matches.
And who better to guide them on how to...
Edge.
Yeah.
Well, when he took Edge away, we all thought he was going to go to pieces, didn't we?
Yeah, I was the first one to call him Retribution 2.0.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to be proven wrong on that.
Yeah, they're building well, and it's good. Right at 3 1/4 as well. It was a very good matchup. We had Aaliyah backstage, so a Control was there again because they're everywhere. I love the line. I feel bad because Aaliyah's kind of trying, but like she just basically said, "What's her name? The bougie badass," or something like that, and Bailey just said, "You're just bad."
Yeah.
Okay.
Bailey's so good.
Yeah, and then Bailey was speaking about them, and like, also Bailey can speak Japanese if we figured this out suddenly. Io Sky says stuff, and then Bailey goes, "This is what she said," and it's like, okay. Trish comes up, piping her nose in again, and then Aaliyah challenges Bailey, and then they kind of like goad her into the match, and Bailey says, "I'll see you out there." Then we see Pierce walk past with like a photo, basically going, "Don't let this guy in," basically. Next up, Gable. So we're having the Alpha Academy Open Challenge. So Gable, shoot. They're going to have some new students, which I'm looking forward to. The Open Challenge, so who was going to answer it? None other than KO himself. At the start of this, I genuinely thought it was going to be a KO smash match. Like, for the first, 2 or 3 minutes, he just was absolutely battering Chad Gable everywhere. And then out of nowhere, they're outside, and Chad Gable T-bone suplexes him on the outside, and it just changes everything. There's so many good spots in it as well. Like, Kevin Owens was going for the package pile driver on the apron, and he back body dropped him onto the apron, then decided to German suplex Kevin Owens on the apron as well, which was very fun to see. The Fisherman Buster knee from Kevin Owens is good that he's brought that back. Chad Gable was full on suplex 50 in this match as well. Just like the amount of suplexes I saw is incredible. He's doing the flying headbutt, which I do like to see as well. I do enjoy the flying headbutt. They did like a fisherman suplex off the top rope as well, which was pretty cool. And then Kevin Owens picked up the win with the good old pop-up powerbomb. He's brought that back as like the finish, which I think it suits him more than the Stunner. But yeah, that was my match of the night. I rated it 3.5. I really enjoyed it.
Yep, he came out looking like an absolute badass, yet still he did nothing to hurt Alpha Academy. It only raised him up.
No.
Yeah.
All three, even Otis to an extent wasn't hurt by this.
Yeah, it was such a good match. I loved it.
Yeah. It was a very good match. I said, look, Chad Gable the last few weeks, I didn't say the Raw last week, but the last few weeks he's looked incredible, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because he's one of the best wrestlers.
Yeah, they're letting him wrestle. It's so good.
Yeah. And then this was followed up by Otis attacking him from behind. But then Kevin Owens kind of gets his own back and stunners, and just kind of gets the KO stunner involved. Yeah. Judgment Day backstage. Some of the one-liners in this were just silly. So they were saying that it seems that Dom's enjoying getting beaten up. So I think they're taking the meme there now.
Yeah.
My favourite one was the Rey Mysterio is now 6'1" mine.
It was so cheesy. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
And then, Priest says a few things. Obviously, he's fighting Edge in the main event later on. Bailey versus Aaliyah next.
Oh, we forgot to mention during the Finn and Dolph match, Finn's got a new remixed theme. He's got a
Didn't even hear it.
Yeah, it's a heel version of his older theme. It's nice. I like it.
Might have to check that up then. Yeah, I kind of skim the entrances now because it kind of you can shorten wrestling so much with the entrances.
That's how you were so bad at the matchup challenge, and if you're skipping entrances.
What do you mean I was bad at it? I won!
You won,
I mean, if he was bad, what was I?
I'll let you fill in that blank. I'm not that mean.
But also watching 7 minutes of Roman Reigns each week coming down.
Yeah, I can't watch more entrances after that. He's like my entrance quota for the week.
But yeah, Bailey and Aaliyah was up next. They kept mentioning Aaliyah's one win, that she got the quickest ever win. I checked my records. I think that's the only win I've ever seen Aaliyah win. Like, she's like 20. No, actually, she's won 2 matches I've seen, and she's 22-2 in losses. So incredible. But yeah, they keep hyping that one win. It was really slow. Like, they kept hinting towards Stratus moves, and Aaliyah actually a Stratus that kind of move on the outside. And then Bailey just kind of finished it with the Rose Plant. I rated 2.25. It was alright, but it was just there. Kind of like your kickoff.
Bailey's first match in like over a year.
Yeah.
Straight after that, we went straight into another match, which was good. Champa and Miz versus Styles and Lashley. Styles was in control for a lot of this. I really enjoyed the duo like Champa Pat back that they did on the apron with the Miz and Champa. I'm really liking them as a team.
You're on board.
Yeah, it's brilliant as a team. Then obviously Lashley had like a hot tag after they were beating down Styles for a while. Let me skip to the next page of notes. Lashley went on full Lashley smash at this point. And then this is where you might have to fill me in, because I knew about the whole what was going to happen, but there was a random guy that...
so random guy's a decoy. Right?
Okay, it was just a decoy.
Even Sean Ross Sapp didn't know who he was.
Okay, that's good. And then obviously they went to the other side of the arena, and there was a guy that was for some reason sitting like a security guard with a motorbike helmet on. So I don't know why anyone wasn't questioning that. He stood up and it was clearly Dexter Lewis. And then he actually kidnapped the Miz. Full on kidnapped them.
Like full stare, like he did really well to backtrack going upstairs. Dead eye ahead. Like, that
you saw it in Miz's face though. Like Miz's face was like, I'm gonna die. So please don't fuck this up.
As long as it leads to Ciampa and the Miz not being a team anymore, I'm fine with it.
No,
it's forever.
I really enjoy them as they work well together.
And then Styles and Lashley kind of beat down Ciampa after that, because he tried to attack him and then they beat him down. And then the big surprise of the night, Johnny Gargano's back.
Yeah,
it was
my
very
reaction
fun.
Was, oh, that's Johnny Gargano's music. That's Johnny Gargano's music!
Yeah. He just basically hyped himself over. He was a big deal in NXT. Baby wrestling's around now, that's the thing.
Baby wrestling.
Which was the one thing I thought was incredible about this. He mentioned that he wants to be WWE champion. He wants to be in the big matches at Mania.
I also love that NXT titles are canon.
Yeah. Like, skip 3 months ago, like, him being mentioned as a WWE champion / in a Mania main event would have been never mentioned on WWE TV. So I love it. Then here comes Austin Theory, and it took me about 2 minutes to remember they were in the way. I was like, oh yeah, they were a thing at one point. He was surprised to see Johnny Gargano. Then basically Theory went through his accomplishments and basically said, I did all your dreams in 2 months, which he kind of did. Then they were kind of like doing a thing, and Theory said that you can carry my bags and everything like that, so Gargano was right up for that. And then they ended up doing their high five segment, but then Johnny Gargano actually super kicked his face off. So that's a match I'm looking forward to, I'm going to be honest. And then briefly, before the main event, Kurt Angle's coming back. It's Pittsburgh. They're doing it on every show now. Let's get an old-timer on Knox County guy, Kane, let's bring him over. No one cares what he did.
Yeah.
Don't care for Kane, but I have absolutely no problem with veterans coming in to essentially come in and put over younger talent.
Yeah.
And just do an interview segment, and that's it.
I'm gutted he didn't appear on SmackDown, though, because Corbin was the guy that retired him. It'd be funny, just that interaction. Main event, we had Edge versus Priest. For some reason, Edge is a big deal in Canada, I don't know why. So it was fun at the start because Edge was out wrestling, like full on out wrestling Priest. It was quite slow paced, which I expected. Priest did a weird apron bounce choke slam, which he normally does it, and then he kind of clocks them, but he just did it, and then the Edge just bounced off, and that was it, and it was a bit weird. Then he raises Edge through the apron. There was a few more spots after this. He actually hit an unprettier on Edge, which was a fun thing to see, and the commentators kind of hinted without trying to hint at it.
Did you see your timekeeper area spot?
Yeah, you got to throw that in, but can't old always die, you know. They had a strike battle. Edge kicked out the South of Heaven. There was the referee bump, which I love Charles doing the referee bump because he goes down like one of them gang beats on PS4, just like. So he ended up, Priest was getting the chair, he ended up with Edge getting the chair cross-faced in with the pipe bit of the chair, which is always fun to see. then he Priest ended up full on lamping Edge with the pipe, and he should have won. That's the only thing that annoyed me about that. Like, if you're going to lamp someone with a steel pipe in the head, that's over. And then Edge ended up picking up the win with a spear. I still rate it 3.25 stars. I really enjoyed the match. It's just the ending slightly annoyed me because he got full on lamped with a
There
pipe.
would have been riots if Edge lost that.
That would be good. The Judgment Day would have been like full on.
Oh, it would have been great heat, but we've been looking forward to this. Get them have their hero. Because how often are they going to get to see Edge wrestle again in Canada?
And then he was hinting at hitting a concerto on good old Priest. Ripley kind of stopped it, and then they were going to do it. They started beating down Edge, and then Beth Phoenix came rolling in with a chair and just started smashing everything except people.
I do love the fact though that this is now the guys might not want to hit you, Rhea, but I will.
And I really enjoyed that. Finn and Priest were just trying to get out the ring, and Ripley was still trying. I'm going to take you on with a chair. I think she'd win as well. I think the chair would just kind of crumble over her, and then Dom would be out back.
Even in retreat, Rhea looked like a badass.
Yeah.
Because even when Priest was on his back and like still sparked out from the beating, he was still like, no, don't.
But yeah, it's kind of like they've fixed Ripley so well from what they've messed up with her. Like, she's instantly gone to the top of the chain without being champion.
For me, she's the most over woman on the roster at the moment.
Yeah, 100%, and she deserves to be.
Yeah,
like, she puts the effort into what she looks like as well, like built, and great.
Yeah,
and that's the end of Raw.
A very good Raw.
Dominic was very sad at the end of Raw that he was not manhandled.
All we know is that you'll have a Raw talk and it's just him getting choked. I don't know.
Raw choke.
So the only further thing I'll mention about Raw, and it's more a news thing, but might as well cover it here instead of waiting until next Tuesday. This was the first Raw in over a year that gained viewers in the third hour and increased their 18 to 49 demographic at hour 10. That's unheard of for WWE shows, and it didn't feel like 3 hours.
No.
It hasn't for the since the Triple H change. I mean, honestly, it's felt fine.
No,
I've enjoyed every week.
That week that Dolph and Theory mained, it definitely felt like it was dragging towards the end.
Yeah.
I can't remember that
match. They did it
match.
the opposite way around, didn't they? It should have been the US title match, should have gone on last.
Yeah, but don't worry, it's not
the Styles, I think, wasn't
it? Don't worry, it's not the worst offender for having the wrong main event.
It's not the worst offender for having the wrong match on the wrong card.
But before we get to that, let's do a quick fire NXT review. So we get a recap of Heatwave, which leads to Braun coming out first, having retained against JD McDonough. He's happy that he's taking on one of the best in the world. If you want to call Devlin that's fine. It's inaccurate, but okay. But this, of course, brings out Tyler Bate. It's all respect. And we get set up a match at Worlds Collide to unify the titles. What I did notice here is they are actively talking about NXT Europe, or at least Tyler Bate was in the promo. So hopefully it's more to it, and it's more of a guarantee that it's going to happen. But we then get the UK tag title match. This is Briggs and Jensen against Gallus, the team of Wolfgang and Mark Coffey, not the Coffey brothers. Gallus are pretty much all over them until Last Legend interference causes a count out. So obviously there's no clear winner. So Briggs and Jensen retain, but they're going to run it back at Worlds Collide. And that brings out Diamond Mine, who get their revenge on Gallus for attacking them last week. So that is also going to be a unification match. So you'll start seeing a theme developing here. Just before we go to break, Grayson is doing his old man yelling at clouds impression. And then when we come back from break, there's a Chase You segment. Don't like Andre Chase. That annoys me. But what didn't annoy me was the Grayson Waller effect, which is basically his talk show. And it has Apollo Crews as his guest. It just showed me that Crews needed longer in NXT the first time round, because this is his chance to actually show personality and do stuff, as opposed to his first 3 years in the WWE main roster. He's already done more in NXT than he did in 4 years on SmackDown, basically. And we get a kind of callback to the famous moment of Triple H saying to Kofi Kingston, "Aren't you supposed to be Jamaican?" Because, of course, Apollo Crews isn't using the thick Nigerian accent. So Waller asks him, "Aren't you supposed to be Nigerian?" But unlike Kofi, though, Apollo says he's still a Nigerian warrior. He's proud of his heritage, but he doesn't need all the bells and whistles to kick his ass. We get a nice little brawl finishing with Apollo standing tall. So we'll probably get that at Worlds Collide, but it's like it'll be a decent feud. And it'll hopefully lead to some good promo back and forth, because this was a good start.
Yeah.
Then we get Von Wagner and Stone interview. Don't like Von Wagner. Nothing really much was said, just setting up the match later in the night. We get Grimes in a squash match against Javier Bernal. Moving on. It's only fair, I did it for Rampage.
Yeah.
Blair Davenport against Indy Hartwell's up next. It's good to see they kept Davenport on. This was also a short match, but it was competitive, and Davenport got the win. After the match, Mandy Rose comes out, and then she's quickly followed by Miko Satomura, who's come over. So you can tell where this is going already. Respect. But before they can set up their unification match, Davenport reminds them that she's still number one contender to the UK title. So it's set up to be a triple threat unification match at Worlds Collide. Then get a Tiffany Stratton interview ahead of the Lights Out match later in the show. Don't like Tiffany Stratton. Tony D'Angelo cuts a promo backstage saying that yes, he's got rid of Santos, but he's still willing to look after the remaining Legado del Fantasma members as long as they show respect to him and win for the family tonight in their tag team match later in the show. Then get JD McDonough promo and recap of the title match. Again, talking about like McDonough being one of the best in the world. We disagree, but okay. Indy is sitting sad backstage after a loss to Davenport earlier, but we get the long-awaited reunion of Index as Dexter Lumis comes back for her. They get a lovely hug, a lovely moment, and then immediately the police show up and arrest him, and he's away again.
Bye.
But he leaves Indy a nice little note saying, "Love you forever. It's only goodbye for now." So
see me on Raw.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a love story for the ages.
Together.
We then get a recap of the Cora Jade Roxanne Perez match from last week, and Cora Jade calls all of Perez's fans infidels. The words she used were lame guys who have probably never had a girlfriend, but that's an infidel. So we then get Cruz and Wild of Legado del Fantasma against the Grizzled Young Vets. I refuse to call him a dyad. I hate that gimmick. And Legado del Fantasma start off doing like stereo dives, all their high flying hits. But Tony D'Angelo is at ringside berating them after each time, saying they should be focusing on winning the match instead of looking flashy. they do continue with the high flying offense though until Dyad shut them down and end up getting the win. Now, throughout this, in the post match, Cruz and Wild and Lopez are still getting shouted at by Tony D'Angelo, basically treated like garbage because D'Angelo thinks he owns them now that Santos is away. But they end up storming out and leaving him behind. And thankfully, out the back in an SUV is Santos Escobar. Rolls down the windows and says to him, "What, you didn't think I'd leave without you, did you?" And they hop in, and we're getting the whole faction up to Raw or SmackDown. Hopefully SmackDown. Very happy to see them go up. Then I look at the time remaining and I see, okay, well, this is a 2 hour show. It does not feel like 2 hours. It's going a bit long. We get Tyler Bate versus Von Wagner. This is the best I've seen Von Wagner look. I know a lot of that will be down to Tyler Bate pretty much carrying the match, but it was still more competitive than would have given credit for. But Bate wins with a corkscrew senton, which I think is his new finish for taking on the bigger guys as opposed to using his Tyler Driver 97. And then we get our main event of Stratton versus Chu in a lights out match. Sorry, Wendy Chu. As I've made it clear, I dislike both of these girls, but the brawl actually starts out quite good and intense, like surprisingly so. There are a few kind of childish spots, but a lot of the spots actually do look quite snug and grim in a good way. But they do have a spot where they spread Lego out in the ring, and Chu goes for a spine buster on it, but thankfully they miss the Lego, because Feck taking that bump, that would be horrible. And then they brawl onto the apron, and Wendy Chu puts Stratton through a bed. And this is the point in my notes where I put must resist making a joke about breaking beds. But Chu gets her back in the win, hits her finish, which at this point I can't remember what it is, and gets the win. I think it was some form of flatliner or something. But yeah, that's your match, and that is your NXT. A decent show, but obviously we need to keep these brief until we've got DP back, and then we can maybe talk about spinning these off into their own videos. We'll call them the B show reviews. But at the moment you'll need to settle for these nice rapid rundowns. But that was NXT. So I'm moving on to Dynamite.
Wonderful. Dynamite. So yeah, we start. It was dying. So we start with the Jazz Society, which was just Chris Jericho. He invited Daniel Garcia out due to what happened last week, him ruining Daniel Garcia's moment. He's apologising, kind of. And then Daniel Garcia kind of goes into a rant of that you've ruined my moment. I was wrestling my hero. And you kind of just absolutely botched my moment for me, and he's really annoyed about it. Then here comes BD, as he's now known, and Brian Danielson basically says that Daniel Garcia is a wrestler, which his gimmick is a wrestler, so it's a bit weird that he's in the sports entertainment. Daniel Garcia gets quite annoyed because he can't pick between them and he needs time, he seemed a bit awkward doing this bit of the promo. And then he ends up pushing Jericho down, which was hilarious. And then it was more of setting up the Jericho versus Brian for All Out. Brian was basically saying that he's the best in the world, but Jericho said he's never seen Brian be the best in the world once. Jericho is the Lionheart. He did stuff at the dungeon. He's mentioned that before. Last Survivor, blah blah blah. It's going to be at All Out. And then he did this weird thing where he said you need to kind of look behind you, and then Hager blasted him. And they beat down Brian. Good times. Dax versus Lethal. This was a very good match. Full-on shot battle at the start. Dax is great at German suplexes. Like, his Germans are very good. Yeah.
Dax is incredible.
Jay Lethal had a fetish for the figure four in this match. I'm just throwing it out there. I've never seen it being attempted so much, and I've seen Ric Flair matches.
It's because he was Ric Flair's last match, so he's taking on the mantle that he's.
But like, he weren't even working on the leg at one point. He was trying to get it in. It was just like, get it in. Sunday Duck came out of nowhere. They kind of did the spot where Dax ducked. Lethal was about to hit Dutt on accident, but then it didn't happen. And Dax went to hit him, and Lethal ducked, and then they clashed heads, and he picked up the win. Good old Jay Lethal. He pulled the tights. Rated 3 1/4. Really enjoyed the match. They rolled out, and then Sanjay Dutt basically said that Jay Lethal was going to be teaming with a tag team against FTR. And who's FTR? Have they mentioned that, or has I just missed that? Oh, Wardlow. That was it. And it's going to be the Motor City Machine Guns, which that's very good.
Motor Shitty Machine Guns.
Motor Shitty Machine Guns. No, Motor City Machine Guns.
I don't get why they're being brought in as heels, is the only thing. Like, why are they tagging with the heels?
Because they're all X Division and they all friends and know each other.
That makes sense
all
from that
wrestling.
point of view. But Motor City Machine Guns should be coming in as heroes because they're bloody great.
Yeah.
That's how AEW works. Friends work together. So yeah, that's happening. Then we had Thunder Rosa backstage, really depressed because she's going to have to vacate the title.
And she's
so they're going
to have Britt Baker and Thunder Jamie Hayter, apparently, if you listen to Thunder Sharp. Yeah.
So there's going to be another interim title. I'm fine with interims for the UFC and stuff like that, so I don't mind them. I want to be honest.
I'm not a fan of interim titles at all. Just vacate or forfeit the title, or you change the match to a number one contenders match if it's not going to be long term.
Yeah, no,
because
I'm on the camp of if they vacate it, if they need to, get a new champion, and then when they come back, they get a shot as soon as they're back. Just do that.
Because otherwise, like, you don't buy any feuds that the interim champion is having because you know that they are not dropping the title until the real champ comes back. Yeah.
But they never drop the title. We'll get to that point. Because But yeah, that's happening. It's going to be a fatal 4-way, and we'll discuss that in a bit more. So yeah, Colton versus Billy was up next. This was Billy Gunn was outpowering Colton. Then they had picture in picture, and then the match ended after picture in picture. It was like, if you take picture in picture out, I don't watch picture in picture. I ain't watching advertisements. I'm watching it in the small corner. But yeah, so it was probably a 6-minute match, and 4 minutes of it was in picture in picture.
Yeah, obviously I watch on the Fight AEW Plus, so I get seeing it in full screen basically.
Yeah.
The finish all came about because Billy realised he was battering his son.
Yeah, he was stomping on him, weren't he? Yeah, came back at that point,
Yeah, and felt bad about it. But Billy was taking the most of the match. It wasn't until he started thinking, wait, I'm actually battering my kid here.
Yeah, like my literal note on that was Billy smash, Billy gets low blowed, 2 stars. That's what I wrote for that. And then they start assaulting, and then for some reason Swerve in Our Glory's in. They need to come down and help because Swerve in Our Glory. Then we had a kind of promo backstage which was quite awkward with Death Triangle United Empire. It was more about Pac and Will Ospreay, but Pac had a weird promo about it.
Tony Schiavone opens by saying, we're going to have an incredible main event tonight of the trios match. And it's at that point in my head I'm going, wait, what? That's the main? Then what the hell are they doing with Punk and Mox?
Yeah.
Doing some great things. That's what they're doing.
What baffled me most about this is that Pac had such a great promo last week.
And this one was not great.
Practically said nothing this one, yeah.
We're not going to kill you. We're going to murder you.
Yeah.
That was the end of the promo. Then we had Colin King versus Britt Baker. Colin King has a good look, I'm going to be honest. Like wrestling good look, but it's like Shotzi Blackheart. She has a good look, but they're just never doing stuff at the moment.
Battered her last week.
She was King was in control for a lot of this match as well. I don't know what, and then out of nowhere she got curb stomped, and then lockjawed, and then Britt Baker won. I wrote it 2.25 because that happened.
Obviously, you weren't about last week, but they did the exact same thing with Toni Storm,
and it went longer. And she's the number one contender.
And then Storm comes down in a moody face, and then Hayter absolutely blasts Storm in the back of the head. Unfortunately, knocked her into oblivion. And then Shida came down, and because AEW is terrible at the women's division, no one cared. Because Shida's been in Japan for like 4 months, and they forgot to type Shida at all. It's like, it's Shida. Like, Shida's been doing great work in Japan. Like, at least show like a package or something like that.
Yeah. What I'll also say about this is throughout the whole match, all Jim Ross could talk about was the women's bodies. Like, get over talking about a women's size or a women's build. Like, just talk about their wrestling. You can say maybe once, yeah, she's 6'1", cool. Don't constantly refer to her bigger, heavier frame, and just, I don't like that.
But she's 6'1". She's the bigger girl. It needs to be mentioned all the time.
No, you mention it once if you need to at all. People have eyes.
I don't know. I remember a Big Show and Rey Mysterio where it was mentioned every 7 seconds that Big Show was 7 foot tall. And Rey Mysterio is 2'8". That's it. He kept getting mentioned. But yeah, so they hyped that with no hyping at all, that match. So it's going to be a match. Then we had the Acclaimed and Swerve in our glory backstage. Swerve basically says the Acclaimed are going to be worthy adversaries. And everyone loved the Acclaim. That was pretty much the whole promo there. Then we had the match we were all looking forward to. The match that they've had an hour time limit on, just in case. Punk versus Mox.
An hour time, but they had an advertised main.
My exact notes. This is my exact notes. Mox is beating down Punk. Oh, Punk's going to be sending his leg. The fuck. That was my review. I wrote it 1 3/4, but like because it was fine until it stopped suddenly, and I was like, that was my review of that match. Let's clip that. The fuck.
I've seen people defend this by saying, "Oh, he's been laid off with an injury. This is all a work and he's selling that he's come back too soon." But my argument to that is, you're already doing that twice on the show already at the same time. If it is all just a work they're playing off the fact that he came back too early in kayfabe, then it's lazy copy-paste booking.
Yeah.
To its detriment.
Yeah.
I wonder if any of the stuff that's been happening is made this happen.
Just to get it off him in case it actually is a thing, yeah.
Because this is an absolute shit show. That's the best way I can describe it. This whole scenario is a shit show.
You've also got your biggest show of the year. At this point, the next chance they have to build to it is with 4 days' notice.
Yeah.
The biggest show of the year that they purposely have like 8 to 10 weeks between pay-per-views.
Yeah.
In order to get good long builds. And they're going out of Dynamite next week, 4 days away from it,
Yeah.
I can't even see who they're going to put in the main either. That's the weird thing.
People talking about MJF, but that makes like very little sense.
No, it can't be him. Like, why would he be fighting Moxley out of nowhere? Or what?
Exactly.
They had the match, didn't they, Mox and MJF? So it's not like they haven't.
Yeah, but it's a AEW. To be fair, AEW do this a lot. Where next week's show there'll be a brawl after every match, and there'll be about 4 matches announced suddenly, and Sting will be fighting.
This will be like a mystery opponent for Moxley, and then they'll leave it until the pay-per-view, and it'll be MJF.
Oh, that actually, yeah, that's better than doing what I think. Yeah,
there's no reason
that's the only way to do it.
And there's no reason they couldn't have opened All Out with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair play. If it's genuinely an injury thing that Punk can't go that length, then have it as the main and have your shock opener. Then you've got the rest of the card to kind of make up for the fact that you've got a damp squibby, a unification match.
I knew it was no one was going to like it, judging by that didn't make it the main event either way. They knew that it was going to go terribly.
Putting it in the middle of the card was the worst decision out of everything, though.
Yeah. But we'll move past it now because it's a sad time.
Because there's more on this show after the
we had a promo with Cage backstage, which he was basically saying that he gave Jungle Boy tough love and Jungle Boy's average. And that's going to be a match at All Out, obviously. Starks had his time in the ring.
This was good.
He basically was saying that Powerhouse Hobbs was riding his coattails. He can't do better because Powerhouse Hobbs was there. He called Powerhouse Hobbs a snake. And obviously it's just pushing the rivalry a bit more.
Yeah, and it's another good promo by Starks.
And then this was followed by a weird, usual Moxley promo backstage. Moxley is the answer, by the way. And his time is up, his time is now. You can't see him, his time is now, because he's fighting Cena at All Out. That's what I wrote here, because he kept mentioning that line. Imagine that. John Cena versus Moxley at AEW. Straight after this, before the main event, I wrote here, Rampage is rammed. It's an hour show and they've got 19 matches on Rampage this week. I don't know what's going to happen there.
So, all apart from the main will go 3 minutes after that.
Like, they're really decent. Like, they're not like squash matches either, are they, if I remember? Let me just have a quick look. It'll be on Cage Match on the first because they film it on the night. I won't mention who won and stuff.
In the ROH title match on there?
Yeah, so the main event's Claudio versus Dustin. Then you've got Sami and...
go about 10 minutes.
Then you've got Sami and Tay Mello, because Tay Conti's now Tay Mello again, versus Ortiz and Ruby Soho. So that's not really a squash match. Obviously, you got Powerhouse Hobbs. This wasn't announced, but this is on the card. Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ashton Day. Wardlow versus Ryan Nemeth for the TNT title. And then the Dark Order versus the House of Black.
You said there's no squashes on there.
Yeah, I didn't notice because that's a match that wasn't announced. I've just kind of spoiled it for
last 3 are all squashes.
Well, the Dark Order versus the House of Black is an actual. Okay. So we'll move on. So United Empire versus the Death Triangle. So it started off with your fast-paced acrobatics that Frosty loves. And I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of it. They're both flippy guys.
In AEW.
Flippy guys, I enjoy it. You know, you have the strong guys do the lock-up and the throw. The technical wrestlers actual wrestling. These guys flip.
Flip off. That's what they need.
And then my next note here was feck off DraftKings. That's right. It was annoying me how much it was mentioned.
Said, I'm not going to get another chance to put this down.
And then, I feel like I really enjoyed this match. This is my match of the week, but the notes here, some of this, I'm just burying everything. The referee was not caring at all. Things were happening. Normally, like Aubrey, they just kind of like, what's happening? Bryce was just like, this is fine. Ospreay was getting beaten down, which was quite a surprise in this. He was the kind of fall guy for a lot of this. Then it kind of got back and forth. Then they were full on hitting impact moves out of nowhere, like nailing destroyers off shoulders and crap like that. The main thing with this was Pac versus Ospreay. Like, that was what they were hinting at, like the things with that. They did that. I didn't like it. They did like double poison ranas. Like, I understand. Yeah, go on.
See, during the picture-in-picture, I've been up to that. Obviously, you don't see much being in the bottom corner, but on the fight feed, you see basically everything with full commentary and everything. Mm-hmm. They go to do the corner spot realise that they've still got about 30 seconds to wait in commercials, so they can sit there for a minute and realise, oh no, we're nowhere near ready. They knock Fenix off, and then Fenix gets back up into the same position, and then we come back from break.
Hey, the match was even better because I don't watch picture-in-picture, so that didn't exist in my world. It
was the only downside to me, because I did enjoy it other than that.
But yeah, they did the one thing I really hate is they did the Poison Rana spot where Will Ospreay did it on Penta and Phoenix, which I'm fine with because they're two lighter guys. But Pac did it on Carl Fletcher's a lighter guy, but Mark Davis is a tank. Yeah, how's he got the strength to do that? But yeah, that happened. They had the adrenaline spot, which I don't mind the adrenaline spots when it is literally just like a 2-second adrenaline spot and then he's out. It's not like he's doing where I can't remember the move to get him into it, but then Ospreay kind of bounces back up, does like and then does his cutter, and then they're both down. I don't mind that kind of adrenaline. It's when like he's fighting for another 5 minutes until he knackers out.
Yeah, Ospreay was rubber band man for a lot of this period.
Yeah, so that was it. It was a German, then he did an Oscutter straight after the German, and then it became pure insanity at this point. Canadian stories, everything like that. BattleBots, I mentioned that because, you know, BattleBots. That put me out of the match so much. That like, there's so much in crazy action, and Excalibur goes, BattleBots! Then we have the Kip spot. I'm guessing something happened on Dynamite with Kip that I missed last week.
No.
Okay.
They just saw the Dexter Lumis spot and thought they'd copy it.
Yeah, like I knew for it, like he's been under that box for like 6 months or whatever. But yeah, that was a thing. So eventually they revealed that he wasn't under the box and it was some random guy. And then Kip kind of blast Pac. And Kip was getting big cheers, which was nice to see.
Meanwhile, Bryce Remsburg doesn't see any of this. He's
I wrote here, of course Bryce didn't see it. That's my exact words, of course Bryce didn't see this.
Bryce Remsburg is the Arsene Wenger of wrestling. I didn't see it.
The boy, I have not had a chance to watch it back.
And then this led to, obviously, Penta and Phoenix were outgunned at this point, and then they did like a weird finish, which it was supposed to be the fidget spinner, the Aussie Open fidget spinner, but he did like an Oz cutter into it, and they picked up the win. Rated 4 stars, really enjoyed the match. And then straight after this, Omega time, he comes down. But I like this, that they were like, if the Punk thing wasn't happening, this would be more that they're selling that Omega isn't ready for this match. He's coming down, like, flipping the Bionic Man, like, strapped everywhere. Like, I saw it because I didn't see last week's show. And so I was instantly going, are they going to mention that he's, like, strapped everywhere? And then, like, you know, they literally went, Omega doesn't look good. And I completely forgot Don Callis was there. Yeah, he was there as well.
We have lost a Frozzy. Hopefully he rejoins shortly.
But yeah, am I continuing or is gonna?
Just continue. I'm sure he'll jump back on.
Yeah, it's nearly the end now, isn't it? But yeah, so they had Don Callis and Aussie Open and the United Empire trying to get Omega to come in, and Omega was like, "No, I can do this," and then they kept pulling him back, and then he was going to get in the ring, and Don Callis basically said no, which is fair enough. I did enjoy that kind of end of the show as well. It's building towards a match, which it's clearly gonna be not gonna be. I want it to the UE to win it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm such an Ospreay mark, and they could play upon Omega being battered.
Yeah,
see what happens.
I don't know. It feels like Omega and the Bucks have used their influence again to get the match they want by getting a team that is not signed. Let's just make that very clear, is not signed to the company, going over contracted talent, which I'm never a fan of. As big a fan I am of Ospreay and Aussie Open, it's just, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me.
It depends on. I think they're trying to keep Ospreay on the good side. I think they're trying to like book him and keep him on the good side because I think they want to sign Ospreay at some point.
Yeah, I know Jim Ross throughout the whole thing was basically calling Tony out and saying get him signed. Ironically, it would be contract tampering.
Yeah.
Which is we'll talk about that on Tuesday. But yeah, it was a good Dynamite, except for the Punk stuff. It just really annoyed me. And yeah,
that's your world title. That's why it brings the whole show down for me. Like, you can have as much interesting stuff and as good matches as you want, but your world title, the whole thing is a shit show.
Obviously, apparently there was a big all hands talent meeting before the show where Tony Khan promised better communication and all the rest of it, and that he would listen to them and do more to fix stuff. And admittedly, the show was probably already put together, but this was still a Dynamite with only less than 10 minutes dedicated to the women. It was still a Dynamite show where it was all inner clique getting their spots. No new talent was really getting to shine much, other than Ricky Starks. I'd say is the one exception to that. Yeah, I'm not convinced I'm going to see serious change in AEW for the better until Tony Khan gets an actual booking team in place. Even if Tony Khan has final say on stuff, as a one-man band, he's going to be spread way too thin doing this.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's going to be like, have you seen obviously you've seen all the Dark Side of the Rings. What's the guy that runs that show and he was like coked off his head half the time? I can imagine it ending like that.
I wanted to say Eddie Gilbert there, but it's not.
No,
he was struggling with ECW before Paul Heyman came in, but
I can't remember his name. He's going to annoy me. If you want to carry on, I'll find it and probably pipe it in at some point.
No worries. So it's just a case of us wrapping up now. So that was our show, everyone. Our socials are in the description below, including
Herb Abrams.
Herb Abrams, of course it was.
That's what it's going to be like.
So our socials are in the description below, including our personal Twitters and the new show Twitter, which is at the HCW Show. Tell it, because we are British. We're still saying it even though it doesn't make a lot of sense anymore.
No.
And our Discord is in there as well. Come hang out with us. We talk wrestling, video games, football, pretty much.
Shit.
Even if you're just having a bad day, we've got a vent room where you can come in and just vent your frustrations. We've got all
your narrative. That's what you're saying, alright?
You can come in shout outs.
But you have to pay.
And if you're genuinely unhappy with how we do the show, we don't know we're doing anything wrong until you guys tell us. So
because we're not doing anything wrong, that's one.
Everyone's doing something wrong. Any feedback is good feedback. So let us know what you think, be it in the comments below, through our Twitter, through our Discord. Let us know. But for now, we'll just ask you to do the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe. We will see you Saturday for a Sporkle video, I presume, right?
Yes, it's already recorded. It's in the bag.
Nice. And hopefully, if DP gets his shit together, he will have a Rev Pro live review out on Sunday. It's
called him live on TV.
Now,
You've literally just called him out.
You just called him out.
Maybe it'll light a fire under him. But anyway,
oh god,
let's see if we get that review. It will come out. Don't worry, it's not a case of him missing his window and that's it. But let's aim for Sunday. We'll let you know if it's going to be delayed. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.
Adios.
Bye.
Salam.